Now, as we mentioned earlier, that the FBI made this announcement that they are looking into additional emails, thousands of them, coming from the investigation into former Democratic Congressman Anthony Weiner. Now, back last year in August, Donald Trump, when Huma Abedin and Anthony Weiner were having problems in the press and talking about them, he had this statement to say. Huma is making a very wise decision, breaking it off with Anthony Weiner. I know Anthony Weiner well, and she will be far better off without him. I only worry for the country in that Hillary Clinton was careless and negligent in allowing Weiner to have such close proximity to highly classified information. Who knows what he learned and who he told? It's just another example of Hillary Clinton's bad judgment. It is possible that our country and its security have been greatly compromised by this. This is August 29th of last year. He also tweeted a number of times that the, quote, perv sleazebag Anthony Weiner was a major security risk as a collector of information. With that, let's bring in our panel. Steve Hayes, senior writer for the Weekly Standard, Jonathan Swan, national political reporter for The Hill, and Charlie Hurt, political columnist with The Washington Times. Okay, Charlie, let's start on the blockbuster, which is this announcement. And what does it mean?
Well, I mean, and, you know, what a better, what else would happen on 11 days before the election day in the craziest election of our lifetime? In terms of whether, and of course it all goes back to Anthony Weiner. In terms of how much of an effect it will have, it's sort of hard to say. You know, obviously we've already had, what, 20 million people have already cast ballots. But I do think that it does hit that sort of sweet spot between, among independents, among people who, a lot of people are coming into this election voting against somebody. And something like this, where it's so clear that, it's so bad for one of them, it really could make a difference for those people.
Now, Democrats are saying, easy, don't hold your horses. There might not be a lot to this. Here is the vice presidential nominee on the Democratic side, Tim Kaine.
When you do this 11 days before a presidential election and you don't provide many details, but details are apparently being given by the FBI to the press, this is very, very troubling. And we hope that the director, and we really think that he should, give a clearer accounting of exactly what's going on right now.
Jonathan.
Comey's actually been quite consistent. I mean, it was interesting in your interview with Donald Trump. You know, he's attacking Comey effectively, or the FBI in your interview. You didn't name Comey, but he's effectively saying this is an agency that's in the tank for Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, 2 hours before.
2 hours before this news breaks. And now, of course, Comey is the evil Republican, trying to subvert democracy. But I went back and read Comey's statement in September when he was getting huge amounts of criticism because he released the information on a Friday afternoon before Labor Day, as part of a big conspiracy to help Hillary Clinton. He said, I released it because I got the information that morning and we want to be transparent and we want to do things quickly. Well, what would happen if he covered this up? What happened if he gets stuff that's actually consequential and he buried it? You think that's not going to leak out? You think that's not going to, after the election, come back?
Right. But what about the substance of this decision? I mean, would they go forward with this, Steve, if there wasn't something substantial that they're looking at or think they're looking at? I mean, is it just about making sure that they're transparent and nothing comes out after the election, or do you think they're there enough to move this forward?
I think it's probably both. I think Jonathan makes a very good point, but it's hard to imagine that James Comey would have injected himself back into the election in this manner if sort of their preliminary review of this material didn't turn up something substantive. I talked to one national security lawyer who said it would be reckless if he did inject himself in without some understanding that what he was doing had some import. Look, I think there are a number of things we could learn from these new emails. She could have sent more classified emails than we thought. There could have been more sort of order under server than we knew. There could be more work-related emails than we understood, even though Director Comey said there were several thousand that were not turned over. But it seems to me potentially the biggest thing that could come of this is if there are emails indicating intent. You remember when James Comey gave his initial statement, he said, I can't prove intent, and therefore, for that and other reasons, no reasonable prosecutor would bring this case. If there are emails that indicate some intent to hide this or some knowledge of what they did in setting up this outside server in a way that sheds new light on what certainly look to be corrupt practices, that could be kind of a game changer.
All right, just to re-cue for people following this, the email investigation, here is Secretary Clinton when she first talked about this, and in her dispersed with the FBI director as he came out about the investigation.
Nothing was marked classified at the time I sent or received it.
Our investigation found that there was classified information sent.
There was nothing marked classified on my emails, either sent or received.
There was classified material emailed.
I thought it would be easier to carry just one device for my work and for my personal emails instead of two.
She used multiple devices during the 4 years of her term as Secretary of State.
There is evidence that they were extremely careless in their handling of very sensitive, highly classified information. In looking back at our investigations into the mishandling or removal of classified information, we cannot find a case that would support bringing criminal charges on these facts.
Most importantly, though, Charlie, this now takes the oxygen of this race, at least for a couple of days, one would think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that Steve is exactly right about this, that you know, we already know that she has a hard time telling the truth. We already know that she's reckless with her emails and classified information. The thing that is new, that could be new here is, and this is not going to be resolved but by the election day, is the questions about a criminal probe into somebody running for president. That's a pretty big thing.
And won't be resolved by election day.